Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa. You know how much I love the theatre. Because every time I talk about it, I have to say it like that because I'm so passionate. I grew up in the theater, and I can't tell you how much I loved it, and so many benefits, not only for those that are involved in theater, but those who attend wonderful theater productions. And Orpheus Musical Theater has been doing it for many, many years. I'm joined by its music director of the Memphis the Musical, Micah DeShazer, joins us on the show. Welcome, Micah. Great to have you here.
Hey, it's great to be here. First time on Ottawa TV.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, big things are
all
happening.
the way from New York, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. And we were just talking about what brought you here to Ottawa, but, you know, that's personal stuff. Let's talk about your love of theater, because you've been involved in theater for many years, Micah.
Yeah. For about the last 15 years of my life, I've been very, very adamant as a performer, director, now music director in New York, LA, Chicago, Phoenix, Arizona is where I grew up, and landed here about 2 years ago in Ottawa, and have been putting in tons of work, and now we are lucky to be joining Orpheus here in the great capital of this wonderful nation, and joined them to be the MD for their show. So yeah, it's been quite a journey.
How did you connect with Orpheus?
Through a long and arduous Google search.
Really?
It was a good time. The first thing I got to work on is just trying to get myself acclimated to the scene here.
Right.
What's around, who's here, GCTC, NAC, Orpheus, these wonderful renowned establishments, and I've been fortunate enough to kind of make contacts at all of them and befriend people, because that's at the end of the day who we are.
Yeah, 100%. Well, this one I know not only you're excited about, we should be too, because the music in this particular production is absolutely probably my favorite styles of music are in this. So before we get to that, Memphis the Musical, tell us about the storyline.
Sure, yeah. So as some of you might know already, it is a Tony awarded Best Musical winner on Broadway for about 3 years. It is a wonderful, very simple story about just two individuals who fall in love over just their love for music is really what it is at its core. It follows the story of both Huey Calhoun and Felicia Farrell, who meet in the wonderful city of Memphis in the good old south of USA. And it really just follows this very aloof and bright-eyed white boy in the South who is just enamored by the stylings and musical underground of the Black community in Memphis. So falls in love with Felicia and falls in love with this music, and is very eager to share it with the world, because at that time in the 50s, it was the 60s, it was very it wasn't publicized. It was not something that was shared with the world. We were very much so at the time still very segregated, and there was a lot that was omitted from the public eye. So Huey's one and true goal was, hey, I fell in love with this. I think the rest of the world can too. And that's exactly what he proceeded to do, share that love. And out of that was birthed the love for that rock and roll, that gospel sound, that soul sound that we love so much. The good old rhythm and blues. All of that was just birthed from these individuals, this community who found their way of expression and enjoyment in life by just making something that's for them, and then we were able to share that with the rest of the world.
Nice. A diverse cast. Let's talk a little bit about the cast, because I know Orpheus takes a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, without a doubt. This year is actually incredibly unique, as we're all navigating, re-emerging after the lockdowns and such. We have found that there's been quite a shift in the group, myself included. A lot of people migrating into the area, also coming back to Ottawa after going to Toronto, Montreal. And we've got a really diverse cast, not only ethnically, but also just as far as people who are returning, Orpheus, tried and true actors and performers, but as well as all of our lead creative team, myself, the director Lisa Dunn, and our choreographer Ali Ann. We're all new to leading at Orpheus, and then about half of our cast cast is new as well. So we've got a really nice mix of returning faces, folks that you might be familiar with at home, but you've also got a bunch of fresh new faces that have either been associated with Ottawa to some degree or are just come in to share their talents with the good people here. So
different age groups too.
Yeah. So it's a pretty wide range. We've got some really young performers who are budding and
right.
just coming out of education and really leaning into their training. And then you've got very seasoned actors who have been doing this for a while. They know their ropes, and
nice.
It's a really nice, beautiful blend of very complicated work that we're doing. Our choreographer, making them put in work. Yeah, there's quite a few.
What about your role as music director? Tell me about your role.
So we are exploring a lot of great gospel sounds. There is a really interesting dynamic because when exploring different musical stylings, like I mentioned before, rock and roll, blues, that southern soul, as well as just traditional gospel sounds, there is a lot of really exciting work that we end up doing with the cast. So there's a lot of that classic like doo-woppy sound that we have that we're very familiar with. But then there's also a lot of that Baptist, very grungy, very soulful, big, full sounds. And the cast we've got a rock star of a cast.
I love it.
Each and every one of them is an actual star, and we're lucky to have the cast that we have.
You've got a great run coming up. Tell everybody when and where it's happening.
Yeah, so we will be at Meridian Centrepointe Theater. It is going to be opening March 10th, and we run all the way through March 19th, 2022. So in about a week, so grab your tickets now. I know I'll see you there, but you might want to grab a seat. But we're so excited to be sharing this work with the world. It's going to be one to not miss. You're going to be struggling not to get out of your seat and just hop on stage and dance with us. So,
Excellent. Well, and this is the Ottawa premiere, too, of this particular production. So it's really a can't miss. Micah, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. You can get your tickets, by the way, at orpheusmusicaltheatre.ca. We'll be right back after this.